Look at the person sitting next to you. They don't know what you survived. They don't know how many nights you cried in silence. They don't know how many times you almost gave up, but didn't. Today, I didn't come to impress you. I came to remind you. Because when God created you, He didn't make a weak spirit wrapped in a strong body. He made a strong spirit that can survive broken moments, delayed prayers, silent seasons, and unanswered questions. Some of you look calm on the outside, but inside you've been fighting storms no one applauded you for. You kept showing up when life tried to shut you down. You kept moving when fear told you to stop, and even when your voice was shaking, you still stood. This speech is not about proving anything to people. It's about showing the world what God already knows about you. Because strength is not loud. Strength is not perfection. Strength is choosing to rise again and again when life keeps trying to bury you. Today, I want you to show people that you are strong. Not with arrogance, not with anger, but with unshakable faith in the God who carried you through what should have destroyed you. Let me tell you something real. Real strength is not born on a stage. It is born in ordinary days that nobody celebrates. Strength grows in moments when life doesn't post about you, doesn't praise you, doesn't even notice you. It grows when you wake up tired but still choose to move. It grows when your heart feels heavy, yet your feet still touch the ground and say, I will try again. God often builds strength quietly because if everyone saw the process, they might misunderstand the purpose. Think about your daily life. No spotlight, no applause, just responsibilities. You wake up early, maybe before the sun, already carrying worries from yesterday, bills to pay, expectations to meet, people depending on you, dreams that seem delayed. You don't announce your struggle to the world. You just do what needs to be done. That quiet decision to keep going is strength. God sees it, even when people don't. And what you practice in silence becomes your power in public. There are moments when you sit alone, maybe at night, scrolling through your phone, watching others celebrate milestones while you feel stuck. You smile at their success. Deep inside you ask God, what about me? You don't say it out loud. You don't complain loudly. You just sit with that feeling and still choose not to give up. That restraint, that patience, that ability to hold yourself together when no one is cheering, that is strength being built silently. Some of the strongest people you know are not loud. They don't talk much about what they're going through. They show up to work, handle their duties, take care of family, and still carry wounds you know nothing about. They laugh in public but cry in private. They pray in silence. They breathe through pain. God is shaping them. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is where God whispers courage into the soul. Look at how God works in nature. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. Nobody claps for the seed while it's buried in darkness. It's alone. It's pressed by soil. It's surrounded by pressure. But that pressure doesn't destroy it. It prepares it. In the same way, the pressure you feel in silent seasons is not meant to crush you. It's meant to strengthen you. God is developing roots in you so that when the storms come, you don't fall apart. In daily life, strength looks like controlling your anger when you are disrespected. It looks like choosing patience when everything inside you wants to react. It looks like being kind even when you are tired. It looks like trusting God when the results are slow. These moments don't make headlines, but they shape character. And character is what holds you up when talent alone is not enough. You don't need an audience to grow. Some of your greatest victories will happen in rooms where you are completely alone, when you decide not to quit, when you decide to pray instead of panic. When you decide to rest instead of break. God does not waste those moments. Every silent battle you win becomes inner strength that no one can take from you. There are days when doing the right thing costs you something. You stay honest when lying would be easier. You stay disciplined when comfort is tempting. You stay faithful to your values when shortcuts look attractive. No one praises you for that. No one rewards you immediately. But God sees it all. And that unseen integrity becomes unshakable strength later in life. Silence also teaches you who you really are. When the noise fades, you can no longer hide behind titles, people, or distractions. You face yourself, you face your fears, you face your doubts, and instead of running from them, you learn to stand. God meets you there, not to shame you, but to strengthen you, because the person you become in silence determines how you stand in public. One day people will look at you and say, "You're so strong." They will admire your calm, your confidence, your resilience. They won't know the nights you struggled to sleep. They won't know the prayers you cried instead of spoke. They won't know how many times you almost quit. But God knows, and you will know. That strength didn't come overnight. It was built quietly, faithfully, patiently. So don't despise your silent season. Don't rush it. Don't compare it. God is working even when it feels slow. He is strengthening you from the inside out. And when the time comes, you won't need to announce your strength. It will speak for itself. Let me say this clearly, because many people need to hear it today. You do not need anyone's permission to rise. Too many lives stay small not because God limited them, but because people waited for approval that was never required. You don't need validation to walk with strength. You don't need agreement to move forward. God did not place power inside you so that it could sit idle until others felt comfortable with it. In daily life, this shows up in quiet but powerful ways. You want to change your life, but you hesitate because people might talk. You want to start again, but you worry about being judged for past failures. You want to say no, to set boundaries to protect your peace, but you pause because you've been taught to please everyone. Strength begins the moment you realize that your life is not a committee decision. God already approved you when He gave you breath today. Some of you have been strong all along, but you've been hiding it to avoid conflict. You stay silent so others feel comfortable. You shrink your dreams so they don't threaten anyone. You delay your growth so people won't accuse you of changing. But strength is not disrespect. Growth is not betrayal. Becoming who God called you to be does not require an apology. Think about how many times in daily life you wait for a sign from people instead of trusting the direction God has already placed in your heart. You wait for someone to say, "Go ahead," before you move. You wait for support before you try. But what if strength is moving even when support is missing? What if courage is standing alone until others catch up? Every strong decision feels uncomfortable at first. The first time you choose yourself, guilt will knock on your door. The first time you say no, fear will whisper, they won't like you anymore. The first time you step out, doubt will question, who do you think you are? But God never asked doubt for permission before planting purpose inside you. In daily routines, strength looks like applying for the opportunity even when no one believes in you. It looks like leaving environments that drain your spirit, even when people misunderstand your reasons. It looks like choosing discipline when distraction is easier. These are not loud victories. They are personal ones. And personal victories change lives. You don't need permission to heal. Some people benefit from your brokenness because it keeps you dependent, silent, and manageable. But healing threatens unhealthy dynamics. When you heal, you grow confident. When you grow confident, you stop tolerating what hurts you. And when you stop tolerating it, people notice, and not everyone will celebrate. That's okay. God did not call you to stay wounded to keep others comfortable. Look at how strength shows up in simple choices. You decide to wake up earlier to work on yourself. You decide to walk away from habits that once numbed your pain. You decide to trust God instead of constantly seeking reassurance from people. No one claps for that. No one hands you a trophy. But these choices slowly reshape your future. Strength also means allowing yourself to evolve. You are not obligated to remain the version of you that people are used to. Growth will make some people uncomfortable because it reminds them of what they avoided. But that discomfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is obedience to the purpose God placed within you. There will be moments when standing strong makes you feel lonely. When you stop chasing approval, fewer people have access to you. When you stop explaining yourself, some relationships fade. But loneliness is not failure. Sometimes it's the space God creates so you can finally hear your own voice again and His. In daily life, permission seeking often hides behind fear of rejection. But strength understands that rejection does not define worth. God's design for you was not based on popular opinion. You were created with intention, not consensus. When you internalize that truth, you stop asking, is this okay? And start asking, is this aligned with who God is shaping me to be? And one day people will say, you've changed. And you will smile because you'll know the truth. You didn't change. You awakened. You stopped waiting. You stopped shrinking. You stopped asking permission to live fully. That awakening didn't come from rebellion. It came from strength rooted in faith. So walk with confidence, speak with clarity, move with purpose. Not because everyone agrees, because God already equipped you. When you stop waiting for permission, you don't become reckless. You become responsible for your destiny, and that is real strength. Let me remind you of something powerful. What you survived did not disappear, but it did not defeat you either. The marks life left on you are not signs of weakness. They are proof that God stood with you when things could have ended very differently. Every scar you carry tells a story of a moment where pain tried to claim you, but purpose refused to let you go. In daily life, scars don't always show on the skin. Some are hidden behind smiles, routines, and responsibilities. You wake up, go to work, take care of others, and move through the day like everything is normal. But inside, you remember the betrayal that broke your trust, the failure that shook your confidence, the loss that changed your heart forever. You didn't come out untouched. You came out standing. That alone speaks of God's presence in your life. Think about the times you thought, I won't survive this. Yet here you are, breathing, trying, hoping again. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was God holding you together when you didn't have the strength to hold yourself. The scar is not the story of the wound. It's the story of the healing. And healing doesn't happen without God being involved. In everyday moments, your scars show up when something triggers an old memory. A sound, a place, a conversation suddenly reminds you of what hurt you. Your heart tightens for a moment. But you don't fall apart like you once did. You breathe, you continue. That calm response is not accidental. It's growth. It's strength. It's evidence that God transformed pain into wisdom. People often hide their scars because they think scars make them look weak. But scars only exist where healing has taken place. A wound that never heals keeps bleeding. A scar means the bleeding stopped. It means God closed what was open. It means you are not who you were when the pain first hit you. You learned, you matured, you became deeper. In daily life, scars make you more compassionate. You listen differently to people who are hurting. You don't judge quickly because you remember how it felt to be misunderstood. You offer patience because you know what it's like to be fragile. That compassion didn't come from comfort. It came from pain guided by God's presence. Sometimes your scar is the reason someone else finds hope. You share a small part of your story, and suddenly someone realizes they're not alone. They see your strength and think, if they survive, maybe I can too. God uses what hurt you to heal others. What tried to break you becomes a bridge for someone else to cross. Scars also change how you walk through life. You don't take things for granted anymore. You appreciate peace more. You protect your mental and emotional space more carefully. You don't rush into everything the way you used to. That awareness is strength. God didn't just rescue you from pain, He refined you through it. There are moments when you look back and realize that if one small detail had been different, you might not be here today. One decision, one delay, one closed door that hurt at the time. But now you see it clearly. God was guarding you. That realization turns scars into gratitude. Not gratitude for the pain, but gratitude for the protection and growth that followed. In daily routines, strength shows when you don't allow your past to define your future. You acknowledge what happened, but you refuse to live there. You move forward with caution, not fear. Wisdom, not bitterness. God didn't bring you this far to leave you stuck in yesterday's pain. Your scars remind you that you are stronger than you think. You've already survived moments that once felt impossible, so when new challenges arise, you don't panic the same way. You remember, you tell yourself, God carried me before, and He will carry me again. That confidence is not arrogance. It's faith built from experience. One day, you will stop wishing the scar was never there. You will understand that without it, you wouldn't be who you are today. You wouldn't have the depth, the resilience, the clarity you now possess. God didn't waste your pain. He transformed it. So don't hide your scars. Don't be ashamed of what you've been through. You are not damaged. You are developed. You are not broken. You are proof. Proof that God steps into chaos, stands in the middle of pain, and walks people through storms they never thought they'd survive. Your scars are not a reminder of what hurt you most. They are a reminder of who stayed with you through it all. Let me speak to the tired hearts in the room, because strength is often misunderstood. People think strong people never get exhausted, never feel drained, never feel like stopping. That's not true. Strong people get tired just like everyone else. The difference is this: they don't let tiredness make their decisions. They rest when they must, but they refuse to quit. That quiet refusal is where strength lives. In daily life, tiredness doesn't always come from physical work. Sometimes it comes from carrying responsibility every single day, being the one others depend on, being the one who holds things together, being the one who keeps showing up even when no one checks on you. You wake up already exhausted, not because you didn't sleep, but because your mind never truly rested. And yet you still rise. That is strength in motion. There are mornings when your body says, stay in bed. But life says, you don't feel motivated. You don't feel inspired. You just feel responsible. So you move anyway. You get dressed. You go to work. You handle what needs to be handled. You don't post about it. You don't post about it. You don't complain about it. You just do it. God sees that obedience when motivation is gone, and that is where endurance is formed. Being tired also means being emotionally worn. You've explained yourself too many times. You've forgiven more than people realize. You've held your tongue when you wanted to scream. You've stayed calm when everything inside you felt chaotic. Emotional exhaustion is heavy, but strong people don't let it harden their hearts. They keep choosing integrity over impulse. That takes real strength. In everyday situations, strength looks like continuing to be kind. Even when you're misunderstood, it looks like staying focused when distractions feel easier. It looks like not giving up on yourself when progress feels slow. You may not be at your best, but you're still showing up. God honors showing up. He renews strength to those who keep moving forward, even at a slower pace. Tiredness will try to convince you that stopping is wisdom. Sometimes rest is necessary, but quitting is not the same as resting. Strong people know the difference. They pause to breathe, not to surrender. They slow down, but they don't turn back. They understand that seasons of fatigue do not cancel purpose. In daily life, this might look like continuing to work on yourself even when results aren't visible. You're trying to change habits. You're trying to grow. You're trying to become better. Some days you fail. Some days you feel like nothing is changing, but you try again. That repetition, even when you're tired, builds discipline. And discipline outlasts motivation every time. There are moments when you want someone else to take over, someone else to carry the load, someone else to understand how heavy it feels. But strength doesn't always mean help arrives immediately. Sometimes strength is trusting that God is carrying you in ways you can't see. That even when your energy is low, His support is steady. Tired people are often tempted to give up on faith first, to stop believing, to stop hoping. Strong people keep trusting even when their emotions don't agree. They pray tired prayers. They move with quiet faith. They don't need dramatic words, just enough belief to take the next step. God honors that kind of faith because it's honest and resilient. In daily interactions, strength shows when you don't take shortcuts just because you're exhausted. You still choose what is right over what is easy. You still protect your values when compromise feels tempting. You still choose patience over reaction. That restraint, especially when tired, is powerful. It means your character is stronger than your circumstances. There will be days when the only thing you can say is, I'm tired, and that's okay. God is not offended by your honesty. He is not disappointed in your fatigue. He understands human limits, but He also knows your capacity to endure. And He renews strength in moments when you think you have none left. One day, you will look back and realize that the season you thought would break you actually built you. The days you wanted to quit but didn't became the foundation of your confidence. You'll understand that your quiet perseverance spoke louder than any loud victory. So if you're tired today, don't shame yourself. Don't compare your pace to others. Just don't quit. Keep going gently. Keep going honestly. Keep going faithfully. God is not asking you to run when you can only walk. He's asking you to keep moving. And that, especially when you're tired, is real strength. Let me talk about faith the way it shows up in real life, not the polished version people talk about, but the raw kind that shows up when you don't have answers. Faith is not something you feel only when life is calm. Faith is something you practice when your heart is uneasy, when the future is unclear, and when logic tells you to be afraid, but you move anyway. That movement, even with trembling hands, is strength in action in daily life. Faith looks like waking up and choosing hope when yesterday disappointed you. You don't know how things will turn out, but you refuse to let fear make your decisions. You still plan. You still try. You still believe that God is working beyond what your eyes can see. That belief doesn't erase uncertainty. It gives you the courage to walk through it. There are moments when you stand at a crossroads with no clear direction. You've done all you can. You've thought it through. You've prayed quietly. Still, the path ahead feels uncertain. Faith steps in right there. It says, I will take the next step even if I can't see the whole staircase. That decision, to move without guarantees, is one of the strongest things a person can do. Faith in daily routines is choosing patience when anxiety pushes you to rush. It's trusting timing when everything in you wants instant results. You send the application without knowing if you'll get the call. You invest effort without knowing if it will pay off. You show up consistently even when progress is invisible. Faith doesn't demand proof before action. It trusts God to meet you along the way. Some days, faith is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't feel dramatic. It simply shows up as consistency. You keep doing the right thing even when no one notices. You keep believing in yourself even when confidence feels low. You keep trusting God even when prayers seem unanswered. That steady trust builds inner strength that panic can never create. Faith also means choosing peace over panic. When situations feel out of control, panic wants to take over your thoughts. Faith steps in and says, I will not let fear lead me. You breathe, you slow down. You remind yourself that God has carried you before. That remembrance calms your spirit and allows you to respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally. In daily interactions, faith looks like extending grace instead of bitterness. You don't know why people act the way they do, but you trust God enough to let go of resentment. You choose forgiveness not because it's easy, but because you believe carrying anger will cost you more than releasing it. That choice is strength guided by faith. Faith is also action when you feel unqualified. You step into responsibilities that feel bigger than you. You speak up even when your voice shakes. You accept opportunities that stretch you beyond comfort. You trust that God wouldn't place you there without equipping you. That trust pushes you forward even when self-doubt tries to hold you back. There are seasons when faith feels like holding on by a thread. You don't have strong emotions. You don't have confidence. All you have is a quiet decision not to give up. That decision matters. God honors persistence even when belief feels fragile. Faith doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be real. In everyday challenges, faith shows when you don't let setbacks define your worth. You fail, but you try again. You fall short, but you don't stay down. You trust that God is more invested in your growth than your perfection. That understanding frees you from fear of failure and gives you the strength to keep learning. Faith also teaches you to release control. You do your part, but you don't carry what belongs to God. You work hard, but you don't worry endlessly. You plan, but you stay flexible. That balance protects your peace. Strength is not controlling everything. It's trusting God with what you cannot control. One day, you will look back and realize that faith carried you through moments you didn't think you'd survive. You'll see how doors opened at the right time, how delays protected you, how challenges shaped you. You'll understand that every step you took in trust built resilience inside you. So when you choose faith over fear, you are not being passive. You are being powerful. You are showing strength in its purest form. Faith is not waiting for life to make sense. Faith is moving forward anyway, trusting that God is already working ahead of you. And that kind of faith doesn't just change situations. It transforms the person walking through them. Let me tell you this with clarity and power: your strength was never meant to end with you. What you endure, how you rise, how you keep standing. Someone is watching. Even when you don't realize it. You may think your life is ordinary, but God uses ordinary lives to deliver extraordinary hope. When you stand strong, You become a living message to people who are silently struggling. In daily life, inspiration doesn't always come from speeches or big moments. It comes from consistency. Someone sees you show up to work every day, even when life is heavy. Someone notices how you keep your dignity when you could easily complain. Someone observes how you stay calm under pressure, how you don't fall apart when things go wrong. You may think no one notices, but strength is loud even when it's quiet. Think about how many people feel weak simply because they feel alone. They believe they are the only ones struggling, the only ones doubting, the only ones tired. But when they see you continue, without pretending to be perfect, they realize survival is possible. Your resilience gives permission to others to keep going. God often uses your example before he ever uses your words. In daily interactions, your strength shows when you respond with grace instead of reaction. When you don't return disrespect with bitterness. When you choose patience over anger. Someone watching learns that strength doesn't have to be aggressive to be powerful. They learn that calm is not weakness, it is control, and control inspires confidence. Sometimes inspiration comes from your honesty. You don't hide the fact that life is hard. You don't exaggerate success or pretend everything is fine. You acknowledge challenges but refuse to be defined by them. That balance, honest yet hopeful, makes people feel safe. It tells them that they don't have to be flawless to be strong. God uses that authenticity to heal more people than perfection ever could. Your strength also inspires when you choose growth instead of stagnation. People notice when you work on yourself quietly, when you set boundaries, when you protect your peace, when you let go of what no longer serves your purpose. Those decisions speak. They tell others that change is possible, that it's okay to evolve. That strength includes knowing when to walk away. In everyday life, inspiration looks like you continuing after failure. You don't disappear. You don't hide. You learn. You try again. Someone who is afraid of failing watches you recover and realizes that failure is not the end. It's a lesson. God uses your comeback to give others courage to attempt what they've been avoiding. Sometimes the people you inspire will never tell you. They won't send messages. They won't applaud. They'll just quietly adjust their mindset after watching you. They'll think, if they didn't quit, maybe I shouldn't either. That unseen influence matters. God works through impact we may never measure. Your strength also becomes inspiration when you lift others without draining yourself. You encourage without enabling. You support without losing your identity. You show that helping others doesn't require self-destruction. That balance teaches people how to love wisely and live sustainably. In family life, your strength shows when you stay steady during chaos, when you don't let stress turn into cruelty, when you lead with responsibility instead of fear. Children learn strength by watching, not by listening. They observe how you handle disappointment, how you speak under pressure, how you recover from mistakes. God uses your example to shape futures. In friendships, your resilience teaches loyalty and self-respect. You don't tolerate disrespect, but you don't seek revenge. You choose peace over drama. That quiet firmness inspires others to raise their standards too. Strength becomes contagious when it's consistent. There will be moments when standing strong feels lonely, when you wish someone would understand how hard it is. But remember this, your strength is a bridge. Others will cross it when they're ready. God often positions strong people ahead so others can follow later. One day someone will tell you, I didn't give up because I saw you didn't. That moment will remind you why your endurance mattered, why your patience mattered, why your faith mattered. You were never just surviving. You were leading by example. So don't underestimate your influence. Don't downplay your resilience. When you stand strong with humility, courage, and faith in God, you become proof that storms can be survived. And that proof might be the very thing someone else needs to rise. Your strength is not only your survival, it is someone else's hope.